So, 1902 of this Media Wars 3 game. As you can recall from the first video, I'm Italy, and the major reason I'm happy now at the beginning of 1902 is the fact that Turkey has misordered and didn't build the fleet in Smyrna. So let's see what happened in the press before spring 1902. With France, I immediately addressed the elephant in the room, so my army in Piedmont and their fleet in Marseille. They probably know that my army alone isn't that threatening, and I know that their fleet in Marseille can be explained by their EF alliance, but anyway, just to make sure, it's better to clear this up, clear the air. So I said, okay, so sorry about Piedmont, Austria was really insisting, which was true, even though after a little bit of insistence, I immediately accepted. So, but I'm shifting the blame on Austria. And he says, hey, I was wondering about that. I'm happy to keep the rest clear if you're good to move back. Well, I want to move back, but we'll see the rest of the conversation. I continue saying, but I won't attack you and ruin your EF if you don't move to Lyon. Can I ask you where your fleets are going? And he says that the fleets are going to Spain and mid-Atlantic Ocean, although he would send Burgundy to Marseille to cover Marseille, which is perfectly fine, and those are the moves that I wish France would do, moving Marseille away from me. So I just respond that is great for me. If that's the case, I'll go for Turkey. Please don't lie to me so soon. This is another thing that I do. I found it to be particularly useful. If you ask a player not to lie to you, they're less incentivized to lie to you. I don't know why it works. I think it's some psychological phenomenon. But when I say, please don't lie to me, to a player, they either tell the truth or they just don't respond. And when they don't respond, you know that they were lying. But anyway, I just want to keep this conversation lighthearted. I'm saying don't lie to me so soon. So I know that France will lie to me at some point and I won't blame them for it, but I don't want them to lie to me right now and come for me. I would be a lot more worried if the fleet that now is in Portugal would be in Spain, South Coast. That would be a much better position for France to attack me. So I don't really think that France is coming for me. And also, at this point, I had already deduced that France was Captain Meme, and I actually believe that he was telling the truth when he told me in 1901 that France and Italy at best leave each other alone. So he says, not planning to lie, but I'd be a bit cautious about going all out on your end immediately. Austria has a very good line against you. And I say, I will move something back, no worries. And he says, gotcha, thank you. What does he mean? It means that Austria can actually go Trieste to Venice and Vienna to Trieste or something like that. Austria can actually stab me pretty hard now. So, yeah. I'm a bit cautious because my relationship with Austria, even though it's been one of an alliance so far, Austria could exploit the fact that Russia has violated the Black Sea DMZ with Turkey to get Turkey on their side and decide to attack me. It's pretty unusual that Austria chooses to attack Italy first, but it's not impossible in this board configuration, so I want to avoid that. I know that France is just saying that to manipulate me to move away from Piedmont, but I actually didn't want to move to Piedmont to begin with because my chances of getting Marseille are extremely slim, and I don't really think that unity is very useful to me. It's much more useful to me in Venice for defensive purposes and potentially for an Austrian stab. So basically, at this point, my mind is set on moving Piedmont back to Venice and just moving it to Piedmont in 1901 as a fluke to show friendliness to Austria and to Germany. Now with Austria, he thinks thoughts, and I point out the bad things for me. So I say there's a fleet in Marseille and a juggernaut. this is rough. The Juggernaut is not so clear because we have a fleet in Black Sea, but yeah, it could look like a Juggernaut anyway, and maybe Russia sneaked in, but they could still work together. And then I ask, pretty stupidly, I ask, want to support Ionian to Aegean, because at this point I hadn't even noticed the absence of the fleet in Smyrna. So I was asking for support into Aegean. He says it is rough, and then I say, no, actually, Eastern Med is free. You can go to Aegean if you want. And he asks if he should go to Aegean. He says that I can send Naples west if I need. And I don't need that. If I'm going to do Levanto, I want to move Ionian and Naples east and convoy Tunis. So I just say, yeah, probably move to Aegean, we can creep on Turkey. He says, okay. And now he notices as well that he waved up link, because it's something that you usually don't expect, you know? And we agree on going to Eastern Mediterranean and the Aegean Sea. Now, Turkey amazingly and pretty seriously asks me to DMZ Aegean Sea and Eastern Mediterranean and says, let's call my accidental wave a show of faith. And I didn't want to lie to them. There's no reason to lie to Turkey and say no, I'm not, and say yes, let's DMZ on that, and then do it anyway. I don't want to make an enemy of Turkey with my lies, even though I'm going to attack them. But now Turkey seems so weak that, you know, is the perfect opportunity for the Italian and Austrian vultures to come and sweep Turkey out. So yeah, I just said, oh damn, you waved there, without giving a clear answer, which is basically a way to say, no, I'm just going to move against you, I'm sorry. But I didn't lie to them because I don't want to ruin our relationship in case I need Turkey for something. With Russia, I just said, moving to Armenia, we can destroy Turkey and then Austria together. This would be my preferred alliance, the Wintergreen, if Russia is on lead on that. And it's not really clear if Russia is going against Turkey, even though there's that fleet in Black Sea that suggests that. So I really want Russia to give me a clear answer, but of course Russia doesn't respond to me this turn. So I have no idea what they're gonna do. So my plan is to move Ionian to Eastern Mediterranean, which is guaranteed, nothing can stop that. Naples to Ionian, Piedmont back to Venice to cover from a potential Austrian stab, and also to, you know, not bother France too much so that they can, you know, focus on their side of the board and I can focus on mine. Let's see what happens. I do just that, everything works. Austria as well moves to Galicia, probably after convincing Russia to DMZ it, they sneak in, I would suppose. And they managed to move Greece to Aegean, Serbia to Greece, Trieste to Serbia, supported by Budapest. And the most interesting thing in the south is this, that Black Sea is moving to Constantinople, while Constantinople is moving to Smyrna. And I have no earthly idea if this was arranged. Like Turkey said to Russia, it seems like I'm screwed. Take Constantinople, move into the Mediterranean, help me in some way against the incoming Lepanto, or if Russia just guessed and took Constantinople by surprise. I have no idea, and actually Turkey will lead me to believe that this was arranged. It's a pretty strange move, I have to admit, but we'll see. Surprisingly, in the north, Sweden and the fleet in St. Petersburg north coast don't attack Norway. I don't really see the point of having a fleet in St. Petersburg north coast if you don't attack Norway, because that's the only thing that you can do with that. So, like if you wanted to attack Germany, you could have built a fleet in the south coast, but you will see a pattern of this, that Russia is struggling a little bit in this game to keep up with the short time format, and that can explain some of their choices. France did as they said, they didn't even move to Mid-Atlantic Ocean, they stayed in Portugal, which is even better, both for my and England's sakes. They didn't cover Marseille, but so I could have taken it, but I'm not disappointed that I didn't. And it seems like the France-England alliance is going strong against Germany, also thanks to Russia's neutrality towards England for some reason. Now, after Spring 1902, let's see my press with the other players and figure out what I'm gonna do and what the situation on the board is. Okay, so France, interestingly, is asking the same question that I'm asking myself. He says, is Russia on your side? I don't understand Turkey's play here. And I say, no idea. Honestly, no idea. He just laughs it off and says, well, good luck figuring it out. And that's basically it. Germany, of course, says, why'd you back to Venice? And I said, because if Austria stabbed me there, I'd be dead. Sorry. And he says, Austria is only, France is getting a free ride right now. And yeah, Austria was maybe on lead. I don't know. I just didn't trust them enough. I don't know. I had a gut feeling about Austria that is just gonna increase as time goes on. And I think that Austria is also having a free ride right now, not just France. So yeah, I apologize to Germany for moving back to Venice, but my army in Venice was serving the only purpose of inconvenience France a little bit without actually giving me much hope of getting anything. Even if I get Marseille, I'm probably gonna lose it anyway. It would be different if Germany, and England were attacking France together, but the German-Italian alliance against France and England is pretty tough to pull off, actually. Anyway, Turkey is trying their best. I just say sorry, but don't lose hope just yet. Because I don't want them to throw to Russia or something. I don't know why, but Turkeys have a tendency to throw to Russia when they, in general, I don't know why, but Russia, in my experience, is the most thrown at power that exists. When someone sees that they're being attacked from all sides, they just throw their centers to Russia, and I don't want this to happen. I want this to be a fair split of Turkey, and by fair split I mean that I want all of Turkey. So yeah, so I'm just trying to say to Turkey, don't lose hope just yet, because I don't want them to throw their centers away and to throw them not to me. And he says, I support Eastern Med to Aegean if you're happy. Anything better than Eastern Med to Smyrna. If you support, and then after I don't respond to this, he says, if you support Russia to Aegean, it'll make 3 on 1 on Austria. So he first tries to convince me to go against Austria and move Eastern Med to Aegean Sea. That, although that, unless I try to sneak in Trieste, doesn't get me any bint this year, and I could fall in the trap of Italy, in which you never bint after Tunis. Or then, when I don't respond, he says, let's support Russia into Aegean. We have your support, my support, against just the Austrian fleet. Now, I don't think that a Russian fleet into the Med is really advantageous to me, but it's not even that. Turkey is insinuating that the Russian move into Constantinople was agreed, and that Russia is going to exit Constantinople with their support, and they want my support as well, because Austria and I can stop that. I don't have time to respond to this, apparently disturbing, but I will say that that was my worry. I didn't really understand if Russia was stabbing Turkey or if they were cooperating with them with a strange plan to gain another fleet in the Med. I don't know. So I didn't really respond to these proposals, because my plan was to attack Turkey at this point and I wanted to stick with it. As a matter of fact, I'm asking Russia to support Tunis to Smyrna, because, as you can see, I was asking the same thing of Austria, and maybe a support from Russia could have helped too. And also Russia has an interest in me moving to Smyrna, because I can cut possible supports to retake Constantinople, but Russia doesn't respond to me again. So all this 1902, Russia hasn't spoken to me, which is worrying, and I'm kind of worrying that they're doing whatever Turkey tells them to do. We'll see if that's true. Now, my conversations with Austria are the most interesting part, of course. I just read off the bat, ignored the fact that I moved back to Venice because I don't see that as an aggressive move, honestly, considering there were lots of Austrian armies near me, and actually Russia did not move to Galicia. So if Austria had chosen to stab me, they could have done me pretty badly. So I said, do we want to try to support Tunis to Smyrna? And he said, you mean convoy? And yeah, I want to convoy Tunis to Smyrna, but I want them to support that move with the GNC. So I don't know if they're faking the not understand. Of course, I'm gonna convoy Tunis to Smyrna. Tunis is just an army, so I cannot walk on water, But they say you mean convoy, and then he says I can put 2 on Romania, 2 on Bulgaria with my armies. And I say, yep, I would convoy there and you could support me with Aegean. And he says, so basically he was planning to do that later in the game, putting 2 units on Smyrna and then support me in. But then he says, okay, so I either get Bulgaria or you get Smyrna. And then he says, I need you away from Venice. Not a fan of that move. This is the start of the difficulties in my relationship with Austria. Austria is very defensive of their centers. They don't want any ally unit bordering any of their centers, so I can't have a unit in Venice bordering Trieste, but they have no problem having a unit in Trieste bordering Venice when it's empty. So it's a pretty unbalanced way of thinking in which I have to trust them, but they don't have to trust me, and I don't like that. And since after Turkey, I'm probably thinking I could go against Austria unless after Turkey my 2 reasonable targets are Austria and France. And if I choose to go against Austria, I need to be in a position that somewhat allows me to stab Austria. I don't think that asking me to empty Venice so thoroughly, it's a good idea for me. But they just want that. I didn't even think that moving back to Venice would be a problem for Austria, but it is. So I just say I will move away from Venice, and he just says no, trust loss, bounce me in Trieste. Now, I understand what he's saying. The long version of this message is no, because you moved back to Venice, now I have difficulties trusting you, so let's bounce in Trieste. I don't trust you leaving Trieste open when you're just saying that you're moving away from Venice. And I understand that, but the phrasing of their message is not my preferred way of speaking, even though this is a fast game, so I understand. To be quite frank and direct, I don't appreciate players bossing me around. I like to be in a dialogue with an ally and not a situation in which they are just telling me what to do. And I think Brotherboard talked about this in one of their videos or articles in which they say never tell someone to do something. Always ask them to do it. And yeah. Austria would have obtained the same result by asking me for a bounce in Trieste. I would have accepted anyway, but they wouldn't have, angered me a little bit, ticked me off. And Austria has this way of communicating that they're just telling me what to do. And I think they realize that I don't like that later in the game, but they're just a little bit ruining our relationship. And I understand that my move to Venice they don't like, but it's not an offensive move, it's just a defensive one. Anyway, I just say that move was because in case you decided to attack me in Venice, that I'd be screwed. And he says, well, I leave myself open. Yeah, he left Trieste open when I was in Piedmont. So, it's not the same thing. And I say, fine about the bounce. And he says, being trust friend. Again, you don't have to teach me the game, but okay. And then I ask, what about Smyrna? He says, we're too good to divide under a juggernaut. I support Tunis Smyrna. I say, all right. Again, please bounce me in Trieste. You move out in spring, Roger. I say, all right, Roger. And let's see what happens. So my plan is to move Tunis to Smyrna, convoyed by the fleets in Ionian and Eastern Med. And I hope that Austria gives me a support, and maybe even Russia gives me a support there, and I will bounce Austria in Trieste. And that happens, and it works because Turkey was lying about Russia. Apparently, this move in Constantinople wasn't planned, so Russia just held there, and Turkey tried to, dislodge them, and it worked. But at the same time, Russia is moving to Armenia, so Austria gains Bulgaria, I gains Smyrna, and Turkey is just at two centers now. At the same time, we see that in the north we have the EF continuing going, but at this point France moves to Mid-Atlantic Ocean, which is an interesting development, because from there they could move against me in North Africa and Western Med, or against England, backdooring them. But I think that moving against England is more likely at this point, because France can never resist the stubborn England from behind in an English-French alliance. And yeah, so that was 1902. Let's see the retreats. Russia moves to Black Sea, and there are two different disbands from Germany and England. Germany is doing their best to defend themselves. And as being now, I have to decide what to bring in just a minute. And since Austria was already so pissed off that I had moved to Venice, I cannot at all bring the other army, because Austria will go bananas. So I have to bring the other fleet. Whatever my next year plans are, I have to bring fleets, because if not, Austria will just assume that I'm going to attack them, which is probably true if I'm going to bring armies anyway. So yeah, I'm going to bring the fleet in Naples. I have no choice about that if I want to keep any sort of relationship with Austria, and that's exactly what I do. Austria brings an army in Trieste, and we see brings by England and Germany as well. This was 1902 of this Media Wars game. Basically, to summarize this year, we're taking out Turkey, but my relationship with Austria is not as good as it seems from the outside. From the outside, I'm pretty sure they think we have a very tight Italy-Austria alliance, but I don't think it's very tight, actually. I think that I'm looking for an opening, and they're probably not trusting me at all. And the reason why I'm looking for an opening and they don't trust me is that I don't trust them, and I don't trust them because of the way they communicate, and that's a self-fulfilling prophecy of having to fight each other at some point. But we'll see. This was 1902. See you in 1903.